Hello, everyone, again. I'm Erica. Today, I'm going to talk about how open metadata helps us in data governance here at Loggi. And next slide, please. Before that, let me introduce myself quickly. I'm Erica. I'm an analytics engineering manager here at Loggi, and I lead a team of 5. And I have a quite mixed up experience in tech because I graduated in computer science. And because of that, I had the wonderful experience of working in good performance software and engineering teams, working with microservices, for example. And I also had the opportunity to work with analytics close to the business context of the company, dealing with analysis, visualization tools, data modeling, etc. Next slide, please. The other one, next. Let me introduce you Loggi. Let me introduce Loggi to you. And Loggi has more than 10 years operating the logistics market here in Brazil. We deliver more than 300,000 packages every day. We have hubs and distribution centers in the 27 federal states of the country, which means all of them. And throughout the years, we captured more than $1 billion from investors like SoftBank and Microsoft. And in 2019, we became a Brazilian unicorn. And for the ones who don't know what that means, it's just the company is evaluated in $1 billion and it's not available for stock exchange at the moment. And okay, when we talk about logistics in Brazil, it's necessary to brief people about 2 things. And the first one is that Brazil is a continental country. And because of that, we deal with complexity in the logistic chain. That's a fact. It's not straightforward to deliver packages in the big country. And the second thing is that there is not only one way of delivering things. For example, I live in Manaus, which is a city that is in the middle of the Amazon rainforest. And because of that, because of the forest, we don't have paved highways that connects us to the central states and the states closer to the Atlantic coast, where we can buy things on the internet and ask for delivery in Manaus. This is a problem because every time Loggi, for example, delivers to Manaus, it is by plane, and this is more expensive to the final customer. Okay. And added to the complexity of the dimensions of Brazil, we have more than 2,000 workers across the country, using and also producing new data. And this leads us to the theme of this presentation, which is governance, okay? We can go to the next slide, please, James. Thank you. And having that said, let me reduce the scope of the presentation, because in this one, I'm gonna walk you through data governance here at the moment, what works for us, and how open metadata has been helping us through this journey, okay? And unfortunately, because of the time slot, we won't deep dive into tools, technical aspects of our infrastructure, and the pros and cons of our tech stack here at Loggi. Next slide, please, James. Thank you. Next one. Okay, let's start the presentation by exploring the problems we were facing a bit. And there were several problems by the time my team was created, and this is just a summary, right? The first problem was that it was very common for our colleagues to Slack everyone, asking about which team or person had the context to explain the business rule of a given model or ask other questions. It was common to talk to 4 or 5 people to answer this simple first question. Who can I ask about the business context of this model? Crazy, right? And by this time, we had almost 500 models in DBT, our modeling framework, and without defined owners and almost 10,000 tables in Redshift, our warehouse. So it was really, really a pain to get to the starting point. Next slide, please. Right, thank you. The second struggle was about data organization. People used to struggle to find out which table was the correct one to be used to produce other insights and answer new business questions. And this led, naturally, the entire data team to be less efficient, of course, because how can people even start modeling if they don't know the proper tables and their meaning for what they need, right? Next slide, please. The third problem was regarding data reporting inconsistencies. And this is still a problem for us. We are working on it. And we've been using Looker, that is our visualization tool, for more than 10 years of Loggi. And we never took a moment to reorganize everything that was built there. And one consequence was that we achieved the milestone of 18,000 dashboards and looks in Looker. And because of that, we gathered a lot of metrics that were similar, repeated, and people didn't know which one could they trust or look at. And the names were similar, and this led people to bring questions to the chapter team. And yeah, naturally, of course. Next, please. And next, we also had the complexity of our data models, which could be really painful to the data teams and other teams that are not very technical. For example, we have these two tables, package events versus package register. Which one should I use to count packages? This is a fair question. And yeah, so this is a summary of what was our landscape before we started using OpenMetadata. Next slide, please. Given these problems, I'd like to give you a hint of what was our environment. And this is our big numbers today. And considering that we performed some interventions since 2023. Next slide, please. So we have 100 terabytes in our data warehouse, which is Redshift, 42 terabytes in our lakehouse. We are running 2 infrastructures by now. And we have 200 gigabytes of new data every day, 9 million of new records of packages tracking every day. We have almost 100 ETL jobs, being the midnight job the most important because it updates almost 500 tables in 8 hours after midnight. We have almost 10,000 tables in our warehouse. We have almost 800 Looker users, almost 2,000 Looker dashboards. And people use Looker to perform analysis in 2.5 hours in average every single day. Next slide, please. So how OpenMetadata helps us to deal with these big numbers? Next slide, please. The first win for us was the definition of ownership, because in order to help people to find who could help them to answer questions about modeling business rules in a given model, we organized the DBT models and declared the ownership of these models. And added to that, this helps us every time there is an incident with the data of a given DBT model. Okay, thank you, Perry. And for example, revenue composition, the finance invoicing team that helps other teams to perform other analysis. Next slide, please. Another use case that is very helpful for us was the feature of data lineage, because every time we have to deploy a model update, we know the possible impacts of the forwarding on the forwarding lineage. We also benefit from this feature when a model gets to the end of its life. We deprecate the use of it in every model that preferences it, and the lineage helps us to get this job done. And next slide, please. Getting to the highlight of this presentation, in my opinion, we used OpenMetadata to perform the deletion of dated dashboards. I said previously that we had almost 18,000 dashboards and looks, and we were able to delete the majority of them and reduce it to the number of almost 2,000 dashboards. And you can ask me, how do we achieve that? And the first step was to list all dashboards, and we run a deletion plan communication to the company. And after that, people marked what was important to them and their teams. And at last, we could delete what wasn't claimed as important or used. And now OM shows us what was deleted, and this helps us to delete dated code in Looker as well, as you can see in this example. Next slide, please. Next useful feature for us is catalog, because catalog has been helping us to start to find the right tables and columns to start modeling. And my team invested time in the past 3 months to catalog almost 500 tables. And the AI team, for example, could use the OM API to access one of these catalogs and train a model, for example. And as you can see, we have Portuguese and English descriptions here in the columns and in the table as well. Next slide, please. And getting to the data quality, that is a feature that solidified us of OM, the use of OM for us, because data quality feature is helping us to run checks in the most important data sources and models, and helped us to be more proactive about incidents involving our most important data. Everything is connected. Next slide, please. And working together with the data quality feature, we have an alert channel that triggers. We use the alert feature, and we have an alert channel that triggers us every time the data behaves different from what we expected, as you can see in this example, and people interact to discover, to find out what happened. So this helps us to be more proactive and helps us in the observability as well. Next slide, please. Okay, I'll be quick because we're running out of time. And this is just a timeline of these different efforts. And as I said previously, this is a marathon, not a sprint. The second 2023 semester, we were focused on cleaning the house. We worked on defining ownerships of DBT models, model refactoring. Okay, good. We worked on defining ownerships of the DBT models, model refactoring, and the deletion of the 16,000 dashboards and looks from Looker, as I presented you previously. In the first 2024 semester, in the beginning of this year, our goal was to improve trust and organize the most important metrics of the company. And we tested and deployed more than 17 test cases of data quality in our most important models. And we also worked on the catalog. And in the second 2024 semester, which is happening right now, we are now working on governance and deleting almost 7,000 tables from Redshift, recovering almost $2,000 every month in the Redshift billing. And we are organizing model sets and permissions on Looker. And with OM, we could delete 50% of dated models. And we also pretend to work on data quality and refine organization of our metadata on OM. And in 2025, in the future, we are working on this. It's a work in progress. And we've started planning right now. So it's the next chapter here. And next slide. I think this is it. Thanks again for the invite. This is the landscape of what is happening in data governance here at Loggi. I'm open for questions. I don't know if now or by the end of the meeting, but you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. I will be open and happy to answer other questions as well. Thank you.